Yes, yes.
which really brings us to this young lady who's here, Koi. But would you like to introduce her?
Yes, so let me give you a little story on Koi. She is from Kenya. And she was trying to get here, and we were fortunate enough to help assist her with some fundraising, thanks to some of your viewers. Thank you.
Yes, thank you to our viewers and
I think it was like
fans.
a couple of
Awesome.
days before the show we came on, and some of the viewers actually called in that day and gave some donations. And one in particular name is Teresa. So thank you so very much.
Thank you, Teresa.
Because without those last minute donations, she may not have been able to get here. So once again, we thank you. And she's come all the way from Kenya to be a part of the show, and which was an honor. We really enjoyed her poetry. She's a beautiful spirit, and actually she even spent the night with me at my home for like the first night. So we got a chance to talk a little bit and get to know each other a little bit more.
Oh, wonderful.
So, are you having fun here?
Yeah, I'm loving the weather because it's more like home. Yeah, I'm loving it. And of course the people, the culture shocks, of course. But I'm having a great time, yes.
So what have you done while you've been here? Have you been traveling around a little bit, or?
Yeah, I've been to New Orleans, Louisiana. I think I have had the time to like go into other slums and see what they do, and yeah, just meet people, try new foods. I love tacos.
We all love tacos.
Yeah, taco any day. Yeah, so I think it's really been interesting, and of course it's been fun. Because it wasn't easy. There was this chaos in my country back home because we were having elections. So it was hard to travel here. It was hard to do a fundraiser in a country where there was chaos and all these things. And I'm glad that the community here and the poets here and you guys did it for me, and I made it here and I performed, and it was interesting. Yeah.
It was very inspirational. I remember you giving your first poem and talking about somebody asking for your Christian name, right? That was so powerful.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah, I think it happens a lot, and I of course love to play with people who cannot spell my name or like pronounce my name. It's more like a game, but when it gets to people wanting you to have a certain name for you to be considered Christian or for you to be considered something else, well, I think that becomes poetry and not really good poetry. Because I don't think our names tend to define who we are. So when somebody thinks that I should have an English name for me to be considered Christian, well, now that won't work for me.
Yes, I love that. How do you think that you can make a difference through poetry? Because it says that you're ranked 29 out of 96 poets from across the globe. Do you think that you can make a difference through poetry?
Yes, and in my little steps I have managed to do that because I train poets back in Nairobi, and when I come to the US I try to get a few funds so that when I go home I don't have issues with paying for things like space and sound and all these things. I get the women to talk, the young girls especially, to talk to me and to speak through poetry and to speak about things they are going through. Because as I started out, for me, poetry was not the talent, or writing was not the talent. It was more like a therapy session for me because I was going through things I wouldn't want to tell anyone. So instead of telling them to anyone, I chose to do it in poetry and just write and express myself. So when I go back home, that is what I do. I sit down with the women and of course some of the men and let them speak out. Okay, so I think for me that is a global change where I get people to understand themselves, to speak about themselves and to express themselves. Yeah, so that is one of the things I am doing, and of course hoping to do more, bring in more poets so that they can have this exposure, can get to your show and talk, and of course enjoy all these nice things poetry can do for you.
Wow. Yeah, and Savannah, that's what we wanted to talk to you about with the girls in Ghana and the poems that they wrote and that we read. Was that 2 weeks ago, I think, or a few weeks ago? And that we got to highlight them at your poetry slam.
Yes, thank you for that.
Yeah.
It made such a big impression on these young women.
Yeah.
They were so excited to be able to share their stories, like what you're saying, right? Share their life experience and what they're going through.
And that's what it's about. That's what poetry is about. It really helps bring out, because you'd be surprised how many times sometimes people aren't as open to speaking about something until they write it first.
Yeah.
It's almost like let me disclose who I am to myself first, and you do that internally, and you write it down, and then you say it out loud to yourself first, and then you do it in front of an audience, and that's when the therapy starts coming. Yes.
And I love that you put it like that.
Yeah.
I love that. So do you think, because I know with our girls and you know and what you're doing, just to be able to help provide a voice for people that don't have a voice, that's such a powerful thing. We all want to be heard.
Exactly.
Especially with injustices. We're excited to go over something that we can do with the girls and you back in Ghana, and maybe with your program, and have every week read some poems here on our show, or
from
do
different parts of the world.
That would be great to do like an interactive type thing with with the kids, and get them to express and show and tell the world their stories.
Exactly.
I mean, and what's the better place to do it than here?
Right. Well, and actually, and we know some people in Kenya too so I need to connect you with a couple people through Facebook and see if I think they would love to have you come speak to them.
Yeah, I would love that, because when it's back home, and I love the culture here, where Savannah has been doing it for like 8 years, and she also found people doing it, of course, and so it has been a culture here. Poetry has been a culture here, but back at home it is still trying to pick up, and I'm loving the interest I'm getting with of course the young girls and these other women out there who now see, oh, so you can actually travel and see the world because of just writing and expressing your feelings. And it is something I like, because I get to do all these things because of who I am, and because of what I love. Do you understand? So I would want to bring on board a few more poets. I went to WAPS, of course, and that was an extremely awesome experience. And I went to BioCity, and that was another interesting performance and experience, because I used to see these poets online when I was 14, 12, around there. I used to see them online and just follow Poetry Slam and Button Poetry, Savannah's Poetry, all these things in the US. And then I just come into the US at 19, and then I am performing or going up against these poets I used to watch way back home. You know, so I really would want a few more people out there, or more people out there to get these chances and experiences, because beyond just performing, beyond just sharing who you are, I guess it opens your mind in a way you cannot tell.
Sure. Well, and I know we only have 1 minute before we have to go to break, but Savannah.
Yes.
Like, how amazing are you that you care enough about people to fundraise to get money for her to come over from Kenya, and just, you know, I know it's not just about poetry for you, as beautiful as it is. Like, you love helping people.
I do.
And I want to thank you through your platform and poetry and through your foundation that you care enough about girls and poets to fundraise, because I know you're not wealthy by any means, to get them come over here. That's
and to bring over
incredible.
Yeah, because you very carefully vetted everybody you brought into this event. So that speaks so highly of you as well. And to be able to hear different voices. I mean, that's what connects us all, right?
Yes.
Koi, how do we find you on social media?
I go by the name Koi Kare, Quiqare, on all my social media platforms: Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
Okay, awesome.
Okay. Yeah. All right, well, great. Thank you so much. We have to go to break. Everybody, stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. You are on Real Beauty Romance, Synergy Radio.